Hi, welcome to Universal Interiors. My name is Leslie Inglestead, and I have the privilege to be with John Downs today, my Uncle Jack. We've had him on the show before, and I got to bring him on back.
You
forced him almost, did I?
You're hard up for something to do.
Today, there's many things that I would love to talk about, but today I'm going to kind of bring up the subject of World War II. There just is not too many veterans out there that we get to hear stories from, and I am so honored, as I say, just to have him as my uncle, but now to hear a little bit of his story. First off, when we went to war, or what actually brought you in? Was there a draft, or
a draft?
Really? Yes. Okay. And what year did you start serving?
September 2nd of 1943.
Okay. Were you up in northern Minnesota?
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah. No, I was drafted, but I went into what was called the ASTP, Army Specialized Training Program.
Oh.
And which we were supposed to be going to college because they felt that they needed technological people. They didn't know how long the war would last, and
Sure.
they wanted to guarantee you'd have technological trained people. And so I went into that. And
now, did the armed forces, they're the ones who recognize that in you?
Yes,
okay.
you had to be in the Army to be in this. So,
okay,
So
you're
I could have gotten in the Marines or the Navy, but I selected this for the fact that I could get some college training in.
Oh, perfect.
And we had our basic training, infantry basic, down at Fort Benning, Georgia.
Okay.
And then we got on a troop train and went out to Stanford University and was there for 1 quarter. And then they decided they needed infantrymen more than they needed engineers, because they didn't think the war would last that long.
Oh, is that right? So you were shipped across the United States, but only for a month or so, or a quarter, you called it?
For 1 quarter,
okay.
And then they closed the program, and there was 2,500 of us at Stanford who got kicked out of the university at the same time. And we went down to Camp Roberts, and
so for a new kind of training then?
No, well, there was a 71st Division, and I don't know if it was the 87th or the 89th had been on maneuvers.
Okay.
And that had been the toughest maneuvers in the history of the United States Army. They lost something like a dozen guys from drowning, and something like 50 mules from drowning.
Okay.
Because the 71st was a light division, it was a mule pack outfit, and the 89th was a jeep supplied outfit, and then we were supposed to be in with the 10th Mountain Division for rough terrain.
Right.
And
they trained in Colorado, I know. That
yeah. Well, so did some of the 71st.
Okay.
Because they were at Camp Carson before they went on maneuvers.
So from that training, where did you go to? Where did you start serving?
Well, then we went back to, they determined that these light divisions were impractical because supplying them was so difficult.
Oh.
And they didn't think the terrain was such that they'd need that kind of supply. So we were shipped, the 71st was shipped back to Fort Benning and formed into a regular triangular division. See, up until then it was a mule pack outfit, and all their howitzers were mule pack, and they break down into pieces, and so we became a regular triangular division. And was it Camp Roberts, or at Fort Benning then, from I guess it was from June until January when we shipped overseas. That was in 1945.
Okay, so you landed where then? In
France.
In France.
In what was the name of that town? I don't remember my own name.
It does not matter much. You just ended up in France, though, with this division.
We were the first units to go into Camp Old Gold, which was a camp of pyramidal tents, and we were there for about 3 weeks before we moved out up to the front. And
were you ready for that?
I wasn't ready. None of us were ready for the mud,
right?
the mud of France, and we could appreciate what World War I veterans had to go through, because
sure, of course,
you were there. It looked like the ground would be like it was here, and inside of a week, you were walking in mud over your ankles, and it was a mess. But then we moved up in 48 boxcars, 40 men or 8 horses is what they were considered, and we were committed to action at Bitche, France, and because you had to have division headquarters protected, one company of our regiment was there, so that meant that we were a light regiment, and the whole regiment was kept in reserve then, because part of our regiment was protecting division headquarters.
Oh, okay.
And then we went to the division was committed to action at Bitche, France, and that was the last bit of France held by the Germans.
Oh, really?
And so
it was important to take that out.
Well, it was get them out of there. And
exactly.
Then we moved down to the Rhine River.
Sure.
And we were all set for an assault crossing on the Rhine, and it was, I don't know what time. It was an hour before we were supposed to make the crossing. The artillery had already opened up and softened the opposite shore.
Oh.
But the crossing was called off because Patton had established a bridgehead across the Rhine further downstream.
Okay.
So we went, we were transferred then to the 3rd Army, the 71st, and there was I'm not sure the number of the armored division, but Patton was more interested in army than he was in the infantry, and he went down to inspect them, and he read the riot act to them. Get those sandbags off of those tanks. These things are meant for maneuverability and lightweight, and so they had to.
And
his
voice was power, huh? Everybody respected.
They got him off of there in a hurry.
I'm going to sneak in here just for a quick moment, Uncle Jack. I just need to thank you so much, and I'm going to continue on here talking with my uncle. I sure appreciate you joining us today. Make it a beautiful day. See you next time.